So Minnesota's governor just got hit with claims that he siphoned up to $1 billion going to sham nonprofit funds, to which some of that money has actually been funded towards Somalian terrorists out in Somalia. So it had gotten so bad to a point where even the Department of Human Services out of Minnesota voiced their concerns on Twitter, making this post basically saying how Tim Walz was notified several times about the fact that there was corruption happening, and he simply just ignored it. And in response to this Minnesota Human Services account, their account was shortly suspended after that tweet, after they had made that post. And what they're finding now is that over 400 employees that work for the Human Services Department in Minnesota have accused Governor Tim Walz of ignoring widespread Somali community fraud warnings and retaliating against whistleblowers. And this isn't just a Republican right-wing thing. This is also being reported by the New York Times. And so simply what was happening is they were doing fake enrollment, as well as fake service claims through organizations like Feeding Our Future, which was a service meal provider that never actually delivered the food of which this nonprofit was raising funds for. Basically using children to their advantage so they can raise money and basically use the taxpayers to their advantage. Another was the Child Nutrition and School Meal Reimbursement Program through state and federal funding, using tax dollars from the American people. The purpose of this program is to, again, feed children and fund remote learning for students, leading all of this into a grand total of over $1 billion in fraudulent schemes against the American taxpayers. And some of these fake aid schemes in this $1 billion scandal, some of the funds were sent back to Somalia funding Al-Shabaab, a terrorist organization that kills people and hates the United States of America. We are funding that. And why is this happening? Because Minnesota, their population has recently grown when it comes to Somalians. Over 80,000 Somalians have immigrated to the state of Minnesota. And you ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why are they going to Minnesota? Somalia is a hot-ass country. Why are they going to Minnesota where it's cold as shit? And my belief as to why that's happening is because I do think that the people of Minnesota are weak. They simply don't want to be labeled as Islamophobic. They don't want to be labeled as racist. It's a pretty liberal state. It's a democratically run state. It's been democratically run for a very, very long time. And these people would simply just let these Somalians that could care less about American lifestyle, could care about what it means to be American, and just basically take over the state of Minnesota and send back funds to a terrorist organization. These are the most un-American people in politics in Minnesota that are running your state. And it begs the question, we see this $1 billion scandal that's in Minnesota, but it raises the question, what about Illinois? What about, states like New York, California? Do you think that there's money laundering schemes going on there? And one of the worst parts about all of this is that Tim Walz, who is the governor of Minnesota, supposedly knew about all of these things that they were happening. And the people that brought this to attention, that these money laundering schematics were happening, he threatened them, and he put a watch list on them, according to reports. And let's just say if Tim Walz was a regular guy, he wasn't the Minnesota governor, and he had money laundered over $250 million to almost $1 billion. That guy, who was in a position of power, would most likely serve 25 to 30 years in federal prison. And the fact that this guy was almost the vice president of the United States of America, leading behind Kamala Harris, it is just unbelievable. It's crazy to think about. It's so nuts. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Those are my thoughts on the matter. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks.